the way the Y used to look was, it was a grand old building with columns in the front, and you walked in and all the floors were hardwood and they squeaked.
Back in those days, that was the only place you could go to get a lot of the, be involved in a lot of the activities.
Well, when we first came, the Y was just downtown. But when we exercised, it was just in a gym. There was not any equipment. That all came later. I mean, it was very low key. You know, they would bring instructors in to do exercise classes. They would bring an instructor in to do gymnastics with kids there. They would bring in somebody to do swimming. And a lot of these people maybe were community volunteers. They weren't, the staff was very, very small.
So it was a very quiet, crowded area where we met, but we managed somehow.
It worked.
It worked.
Well, when I was about 7 or 8 years old, that was the only thing you did. You went to the Y, you played basketball, you went to the swimming pool naked, and I'm not losing my mind. You went in they checked you to see that you were clean and all.
My dad took me to the Y when I was 6 years old to learn. He wanted me to learn to swim. And I had my bathing suit wrapped up in my towel. And he dropped me off, and I walked down this long, dark corridor to what they referred to as the basket room. And a grumpy old man said, "What do you got there, boy?" And I said, "Well, sir, I have my bathing suit." And he said, "You don't need that here. We're all men and boys here. We don't use bathing suits."
Well, yeah, when we first started, it was the Men's Health Club, and then we started letting the ladies use it from 8 to 12, 8 to 11:30. And then the men came in at 12, and they would always be upset because the ladies wasn't out on time and stuff, you know, and it was really, and it was funny to me because I took sides with the ladies. I said, "Hey, give them a chance, you know."
A group of ladies came to the board meeting and asked that we renovate the women's locker room. They were all in real bad shape. And there was a lot of hemming and hawing until one of them pointed out that women made up 60% of the membership of the Y at that particular juncture, and it would behoove us to focus on that particular issue. And it was focused on immediately, and they did get a brand new locker room.
I can speak for the leaders and the gymnastics programs because Tom Threlkill ran those programs with an iron fist. And if he didn't like what you were doing, he'd call you out in front of the whole group. I had not done my homework, and he called me out. He said, in front of a lot of people, you know, all of my peers, probably 60 people, and said, "Well, Michelle obviously hasn't done her homework. She's not prepared." And so it was, I mean, we had a lot of fun, but we were held so accountable.
He would bring his Bible out, and he'd read a few passages from the Bible. Then he would talk to us about good things, you know, how maybe we ought to be thinking about living our lives and that sort of thing.
I think one of the volunteer activities that we had growing up was to ref the youth sports games, and I think now they actually hired real refs. But back when I was in middle school and high school, I was responsible for all the reffing. It's not easy to tell a father that is one of your friends that I'm probably wrong, but I'm still trying my best.
When I was younger, it was strictly pretty oriented towards programs like learning how to swim and perhaps being a focal point for your first exposure to something like t-ball or soccer. But what I see now with the Y is there's a way of kind of combining and a synergistic partnership with not only a program, but how does it play into healthy living as a whole.
It's getting more and more tied in with the medical community because of what we need to do to prescribe for patients that are coming out for rehab, exercise, and things of that sort.
The diabetes prevention program has been life-changing. I've watched folks go through the class, and after the first graduating class, we had a little ceremony, and several of us came in, and they got to get up and talk and share their experience, and it was absolutely amazing what we've been able to do and how we've been able to help folks get a handle on diabetes and on healthy living in general.
We change lives in that building. We do not judge. People come to the Y because they want to have a better life. Some have health issues, diabetes. We run one of the best diabetes prevention programs in the entire nation.
It's not just the Y for basketball and swimming. It's so much more today to really focus on some problems that we have in our society today. So I think it has a huge impact.
Well, I think the best kept secret of the YMCA is that, like myself and my family, I always say that every day, every interaction I have with the YMCA, I learn something new about the Y that has nothing to do with the facilities, nothing to do with the swim and gym aspect of the Y, but it has everything to do with the mission.
The most important thing to me about the Y was it's actually a catalyst for bringing different agencies and activities together. And located next door to the senior center, next to the hospital, next to a multitude of medical facilities and activity places, the Y has provided a high quality after school and summer program for hundreds of children.
I think the Y has had a tremendous role in establishing the education for healthy lifestyles for not only our students but the adults in our community.
It's been a place where they've learned to interact with people, learned to grow up, to be better people, be better community members.
Last weekend we went and helped out a lady with Alzheimer's and painted her house and helped her do some yard work for her. So what we're trying to get out of these experiences is to also help the community, but while learning something and what we can take out of Leaders Club.
The Y has impacted youth in this community by giving so many children in Western North Carolina a safe place to go after school. I was not aware that they are the largest child care provider after school until I got involved with the board.
We have a lot of camps in the area, of course, but we won't have one quite like this because most camps are very expensive if you've looked into it for your grandchildren, which I have, and not a lot of families can afford to send kids to those camps, but the Y camp, everybody who wants to go will be able to go.
The YMCA gives access to anyone who needs it and wants it.
And in being in our community, it's one thing to have just an office and a gym and say the doors are open, but I say the YMCA in our community has been significantly different. They've challenged the status quo, meaning they partner with the city to ensure that inner city kids have an opportunity to participate in soccer and basketball, and that's awesome.
We have fathers who come and bring their children, and that's how you grow. So we've got to stay connected with the youth and get them involved, and then we have to go out into the community and get to know people.
I think our organization has to continue to be committed to really big picture, visionary kind of work. Our commitment that the organization has made, our volunteers have made, our donors have made to developing a new resident camp in Swain County that has the opportunity to serve kids for another 125 years is life-changing. It's a strategic decision, but it's a decision that will have impacts on lasting generations of children and families in our community. And it's that kind of work that we have got to continue to be committed to in keeping our sites big, keeping them focused on the big picture, but also paying attention to the little things in our communities that really make an individual difference with individuals as well.